Well, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, thank you for joining me again. We're back on the PC50, and wow, what was that weather about this week? I'm so glad I can finally get out on the bike, because it's been absolutely insane weather. The weather's cleared up now, so finally, for the first time this week, I've been able to get out on my bike. I did actually go out earlier today to do some shopping. And I had a really nice ride this morning. It's still a little bit breezy, but in the last video, it was crazy windy, and the mic guard seemed to do a good job. So hopefully you won't be hearing too much of that. And yeah, since I filled up, actually, one thing that I've noticed about the bike is that we're getting a really strong fuel smell. And I think that's because basically the seal on my petrol cap isn't great. It's disintegrated a little bit. And because that was the first time I've really had the fuel tank so full, I'm getting a bit of splashing. So I've kind of wiped that up, but I'm still getting a really strong petrol smell. It's a 1972 bike. You're gonna get those sort of things happening, so what the hell, it's still running nice actually. And yeah, I'm trying to get some different roads today. I have been going on the same roads quite a lot in these vlogs, so we're going to try and find some new roads to go on today, starting off with a bit of a kind of main road here. And yeah, one thing I've found out about this bike is that you can pedal when you are in the driving mode, which I didn't know about. So pulling out of junctions and stuff like that, I can hit the pedals as well. It does actually give you a little bit of a boost, so I'm going to be using that quite a bit. So yeah, it just gives you a little bit of an oomph when you're pedaling. Could be useful on hills too. And yeah, I did actually hit some pretty big hills earlier today. And the poor girl, she was struggling up those big hills, but I think maybe the pedaling might actually be useful when you're going up the hills. So yeah, like a new thing for me. I didn't realize you could pedal once you'd put it in the gear to ride the bike as a motorbike. It's got two gears basically, one that switches to the just pedaling, and one mode switches the bike so that when you pedal it kind of cranks the engine up. So yeah, good to know, definitely from junctions, because I think I've mentioned in previous vlogs, it does bog quite heavily. I looked up about it, and it is just one of those things with this bike, it's very slow off the mark. So yeah, hopefully I'll have some bigger thighs soon as well. So I have actually just done a full loop here. I was getting distracted with talking, so we'll try and go right here. It's a bit of an annoying junction to pull across, but yeah, this is the problem. You get blocked from crossing the road because of this. Let's see if we can skip across here. Just about. Left down here. And this road's really nice and tarmacked. No potholes. It's got to be one of the smoothest roads in my local town. In beautiful suburbia, with nice wide roads where I can just drive around like this. Very nice and quiet down here as well. That's why I love just tootling around these little roads. When you're on this bike, you can't be in a hurry. There's no way of getting anywhere in a hurry. So when you're riding it, it's just kind of such a relaxed feeling on it, and it's super comfy to ride. Quite honestly, it's ruined my experience of cycling, because I went on my racing bike the other day, my old racing bike, which is, you know, it's got a high PSI tyre, and honestly, the best way I can describe it is, it felt like I was riding a grasshopper or like a stick insect. It just felt absolutely awful, and I think it's because of this bike. It's ruined biking for me. It's got a nice comfy seat, nice suspension, and yeah, it's just nice to ride compared to that. And one thing that I've come to notice with the basket is that it does drastically change the feeling of the steering. I mean, I should have known that really just from cycling, but when you put stuff in this front basket here, the steering just feels completely wrong. It puts so much weight over the front wheel. Like I say, it's pretty obvious, but it took a little bit of getting used to on the way back from the supermarket this morning. You had to be a lot more delicate with the handlebars, but it was all good fun. I enjoyed it. So yeah, just hitting these roads around suburbia. My brother and sister-in-law have actually just bought a house down here, and he's a tradesman himself. Completely gutted the house out and started from scratch. It's been a massive task, but it's really starting to come together now, and it looks amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of money in property if you've got those kind of skills to be able to do up a house essentially from nothing. And it was actually pretty sad because the previous owner was like an elderly woman. I think she was in her 90s, and some of the rooms were just absolutely awful. There was like mold all in the carpets and everything, so it was pretty sad. And I can't remember if she passed away or got moved into a home, but yeah, she had 3 sons and they obviously weren't really looking after her that well. Quite sad, but in a way it's nice to see the house getting some life back into it again. Anyway, I'm waffling. And if you were watching a previous vlog, you will have noticed I was moaning about the traffic quite a lot. And there is actually this huge diversion happening in my town/city at the moment. And all the traffic is getting directed down my road, which is just insane because my road is essentially single file. And we're now getting hundreds and hundreds of cars coming down my road. Yeah, so I don't know whose brainwave that was, but it wasn't a good idea. Another right-hand turn, not easy. And these roads take me back as well, actually, because this is the first place I came when I had my first ever driving lesson. I could actually already drive a little bit because I used to live near a farm, and me and a guy used to go on the farm. It was actually the farmer's son, and just kind of drive old cars around. We had a little metro. So I kind of knew the basics from that, but yeah, these roads, like learning to reverse around corners and 3-point turns, it was all done around here. And to be honest, it was a very, I would say, easy place to learn how to drive because it was just so quiet, traffic-wise. And I passed my test second time, and it was actually really annoying because I had the same guy do my test twice. So as soon as I got in the car and the second time, I was like a nervous wreck, because he'd already failed me once. And basically I got to the end of the test. I passed my second test with 2 minors, which I was very, very happy with. And the guy said to me, "That was really good. That was your first time." And I said, "No, it's my second." And he said, "What happened the first time?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. It was you. It was you the first time as well." My God, it's windy down here. Wow, that was extremely windy down that bit. I think we're still on the end of this storm that we had at the start of the week, and I know the media loves to hype up everything, don't they? So like every time there's any kind of weather that's not normal now, they have to give it a name, and I think I've just driven into a dead end here. So yeah, I think we're still at the tail end of that. Man, I love these little suburban roads. I just think they're great. Like, loads of twists and turns. Oh, and dead ends. This is where I just turned off that kind of mainish road and got a bit lost, so we'll get back on this road. And to be honest, I've never been down these roads. I kind of like that feeling of being lost in your own city. I don't know, there's something quite comforting about it because you're never really lost, but you kind of don't know where you are at the same time. I've got plans for next week for this bike. I want to do an oil change, so I did mention about the possible clutch sticking on this bike, because when it let off the accelerator, it still kind of feels like it's accelerating. I think the clutch is engaged, and apparently doing an oil change can fix that. And to be perfectly honest, I don't really know why I haven't done an oil change yet. I mean, I topped up the oil when I got the bike, but I definitely should have just done an oil change. So I'm going to do that next week. I'll probably do a video about that. It'll only be short, or maybe it'll be part of one of the vlogs. But yeah, definitely should have been something that I did straight away. I can get that sorted next week. So yeah, thanks for joining me again, guys. It was a fairly drama-free episode, that one. But definitely good to get back out on the bike again today, twice, and get some miles on the saddle. Like I said, the bike's running great. There's a bit of a snag list that I've got, but I'll get around to those. And yeah, I'm going to head back home, and I guess I'll just start editing this video. So see you in the next one, guys. Take it easy. I'm gutted. I've just got home and realised that I've lost my air filter. That's another thing for the list. Went back out for another ride and I found it. Yes.